we're going to take a short break from our debate to talk with our guest judge, Mr. Jonathan Klein.
Woo!
Thank you so much for coming in and judging us.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been quite an interesting debate.
Oh, good.
Now, you're listed as both a producer and a voice director. What is the difference between the two when you come to it?
Well, a voice director is somebody whose job is to bring out the best performances out of their voice acting talent, be it for an anime or a video game. The producer is the person who assembles all the talent. That includes both the voice director, the voice actors, the writing talent, and possibly things like arranging for the studio and the budget, all the different elements that go in together involved with the production. I like to say the producer is like the Marines. He's usually the first man in, the last man out.
So is it a really long process, like in a regular TV production, or is it shorter because you already have the content coming in from Japan?
Well, sometimes it's not as short as you think it would be, because sometimes it's a hurry up and wait. You're waiting for the next content to come in from Japan or from wherever the content is coming from. I remember working on different shows like ROG the TV or Hellsing Ultimate even, where we would do a few episodes and all of a sudden we'd be sitting around for months or years waiting for the next episode to show up.
Come on, Hellsing, I want more. Hurry it up.
Now, when you sit down and you're directing a voice actor, you say that you look for like the best performances. Is there something that kind of keys you in that like rookie people make mistakes early on in their performances that you kind of look for, or say like don't do this or definitely do that?
Well, it's an interesting question. I would say, I give advice. I'm going to go off the question for a little bit and talk about, I give advice to people who are interested in being voice directors, for rookie voice directors, and I always tell them go with their gut. Because usually voice directors want to try to please their clients. And what they think they need to do is cover all the bases. Let's get a take that's this way. Let's get a take of the actor doing it this way. Let's get a take of the actor doing it so many different ways that literally you've got 5 to 10 different versions of the same line, and usually the first or the second take is the one that you're going to go with. So I always tell the voice director to go with their gut. And I think probably the same idea would apply to voice actors as well. They probably have a good idea of what their performance should be, and they should be trying to pull out what they think is the best performance for that character, not try to please the director per se, but to make a performance that is something that's your own, yet follows what it is that the character was based upon, be it anime or video games.
So, speaking of video games, you have Ultra Street Fighter 4 coming out in June. So tell us a bit about what's going on with that and how it differed from Super Street Fighter 4, and even just how directing video games is different from directing anime.
Well, that's a pretty broad question. First of all, Ultra Street Fighter 4 is going to be available as an expansion download for consoles in June. The full version of it for people to buy for their console or for their PC will be available in August. In terms of what's coming in there, there's a whole lot of new features. There's several new characters involved with the game. You'll be able to choose the fighting style and specialties of the characters, for each of the characters from every iteration of Street Fighter 4 since Street Fighter 4 Classic all the way up to and including Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
That's cool.
Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. Yeah. And it's going to be quite interesting, I think, to see what both amateur players and professional players choose as the characters that they're going to use and which iteration of that character they're going to use, basically. So I think it's going to mix things up in terms of the tournament play that's going to be coming out.
So do you have a direct connection with like the professional players in the fighting game community? Or
no, unfortunately, I've met a few of them. I've met like Daigo, Umihara, and a few others, and I keep on begging them, teach me how to play the damn game.
Yeah.
I'll put you in as a voice if you teach me how to play the game, so I don't like button mash all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But unfortunately, they're like too busy. Either they're playing or they got other things to do. They don't want to teach the guy who's supposed to know the game anyway.
Right.
But you know, it's been a great pleasure and privilege to work with Capcom as the English language producers of I should say the English language voice producers of the game itself. So we're only a very small part of the game, and there's been a lot of people who have put in a lot of work over the many years from Capcom, and it's been an amazing privilege to be a part of it. So thank you, Capcom.
Now, kind of going off of that, you're the English language coordinator for that, and the same thing with the anime. Is there something about like Japanese products or animation that drew you specifically, as opposed to like Western animation?
I grew up on anime. I admit it. I was an anime otaku since. Well, I guess I was an anime otaku before I even knew I was an anime otaku, because I grew up in New York, and we had Japanese television on the weekends, and occasionally they would show Japanese anime on there, subtitled, and I didn't know what it was, but I thought, wow, this is great. And then when I got into high school, there was an anime club, and suddenly this whole world opened up to me. So it became much more fun and exciting, and it was something I was like, wow, I'd really love to be a part of it. And so my company first started working in the translation, subtitling, and dubbing of anime, but we evolved from that into video games, and so we're doing both, fortunately, so I'm happy to be a part of it in some small way.
So for all of you out there that are watching, that are at your high school anime clubs or just watching anime, it is possible to become part of the industry. So hold on to that dream.
Yeah, I do a panel called From Fanboy to Pro at conventions, basically talking about that.
Awesome. We should go see that. So tell us, how did New Generation Pictures get its start?
Well, we started out originally as a company, a film production company, believe it or not. Our goal, my partner, Reiko Matsuo, and I, were trying to produce live-action versions of Japanese animation products. I should say Japanese animation properties. And we spent many years trying to acquire the rights to several different shows, and we basically failed.
You're not responsible for that Dragon Ball Z movie, are
no,
you?
Thank goodness, no.
There's swords here, and I'm about to, no.
Calm down,
please. Unfortunately, we never got past getting the rights for any of the shows that we wanted to. We spent many years dealing with a lot of famous mangaka trying to deal with it, but either the properties were already tied up with other Hollywood studios, or it was just a very, very difficult and slow process, and by the point we were ready to do it, they were just sort of moving on to other things at that point. But we realized we needed something to sort of pay the bills, and trying to make a film is not going to pay the bills. So we realized we had this great skill set where we could localize between English and Japanese, or vice versa. And we said, well, what are the companies that need it? And originally we did a lot of corporate industrial videos for Japanese clients and for American clients trying to enter the Japanese market. But that sort of dried up after a while. And again, we started realizing, well, what are we going to do now? And at that time, anime was just slowly coming into its own. I would say it was the second wave of anime, past the Robotech era. It was like the early Tenchi Muyo stuff.
Yeah.
And we realized that there was this demand for subbing and dubbing. And I think with our last few bucks, we bought a ticket to Anime Expo and went around to all the different tables and said, hey, do you need anybody who could do translation, subtitling, and dubbing for your anime? And believe it or not, a couple of companies said, yeah, we do. And here we are.
That's how you do it. It's the hustle.
It's almost kind of like it was meant to be. And you're living your dream.
It was ordained.
It was.
By fate.
Awesome.
Well, speaking of conventions, are you making appearances that are coming up?
I do a few conventions every year. I'm going to be at Anime Minneapolis at the end of May, and then in early June I'm going to Anime Next, and I know in the beginning of August I'll be at MechaCon in New Orleans.
Nice.
Awesome. So you guys are going to have to go to those cons and say, Jonathan, we found out about you through Super Anime Smackdown. Give me a high five. Are you a high fiver?
I'll fist bump, high five, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So Jonathan, now we want to know, what do you have in the works?
Well, some of the things I have in the works I can't talk about because,
we
secret
tried.
non-disclosure agreements. But I can tell you what recently has come out. I directed seasons 3 and 4 of Ikitosen for Funimation. That's out already. For NIS America, I did the English voice direction on Demon Gaze, which is for the PS Vita. We have Ultra Street Fighter 4 coming out for multiple platforms in June. And there'll be a few new projects in the wings. I wish I could talk about it because they're really awesome. But we'll just have to wait till the next time you have me on the show.
Yeah.
Yay! That means he's going to come back. I hope that means we made a good enough impression on you.
Well, we still haven't finished the debate yet, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us today.
Thank you.
So if you want to go to Anime Expo this year, you got to be in the Los Angeles area. The con runs from July 3rd through July 6th.
And if you want to fulfill your anime cravings before then, make sure you check out Super Anime Smackdown Episode 3, Madoka vs. Sailor Moon, premiering June 24th.
Right here on theStream.tv.